Good morning, esteemed viewers and followers. Of course, it is the Gambia at 59. Independence celebration today. And then, just to remind you, this is Fine TV Gambia, your live viewpoint. And of course, your current affairs program. But today, on our theme, we have, the journey after independence. I will remain your host, Ibrahim Ambai. And of course, with me here, we have Mr. Mohamed Sidibe, who is a writer, a public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. And of course, we have Mr. Kurubo Sane here, who is an educationist, writer, public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. Likewise, Omar. Omar is not, a new face to you all. Omar Sanyang is a young politician, public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. So, you are all welcome to Fine TV Gambia, and it's a pleasure having you here. So, our today's discussion would be centrally centered on the journey after independence. What really happened? How far is the Gambia since we regained our independence in 1965? So, you, Omar, Kudubu, and Mr. Sidibe, you are all welcome to Fine TV. And it's a pleasure having you here. So, Omar, to start with the questioning or to start with the discussion proper. Omar, how far, is the Gambia since we regained independence in 1965?
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. And our esteemed viewers, just to remind you, this is Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint. This is a very important question as we celebrate 59 today. It is a reflection what happens the past 59 years of the country's independence. Is it truly the country that the founding fathers or the forefathers fought for, the likes of Edward Francis Small and Sir Dawda Jawara? And as much as I might not agree to some extent with my good brother here, Kudubo, on issues of Sir Dawda, but, they ought to be celebrated. They should be. To me, before calling it independence, I think it should be called Founders Father's Day. We should rebrand the name because I said this somewhere else and I will say it today. A country that solely depends on loans and grants do not have any moral right to celebrate independence. You are having your fund from other parts of the country. They control you directly or indirectly. That is why in 1957, when Ghana regains their independence, and Kwame Nkrumah one time said that imperialism, the new form of colonialism. These are imperial mindsets, that they are going to give you loans and grants, and those loans and grants will be used in your own advantage. To some extent, they are going to use those loans and grants to control your dealings. So it's 59 years today. We celebrate it. Yes, we will, and we should. But we think of this. What really happens within the 59 years? Is Gambia really independent politically, economically, socially? You ask yourself this fundamental question. Is that the case in the country? But you also get to understand that we are having so many loopholes in this country that needs to be fixed within the 59 years. From the first regime, second regime, to Barrow's regime now. You understand that immediately after independence, education is very important. That is why Tanzania became one of the most developed countries in Africa, simply because they invest heavily on education. As I'm speaking to you now, 97% of that country's population is educated. That is why continuously they will be giving themselves leaders who are going to serve the needs and then the aspirations of the people of Tanzania. So yes, my boss here will not agree, but from 1965 to date, when we regain our so-called independence.
Why do you call it so-called?
I will come to that. When we call it our so-called independent, we have issues that should be put in place. Education should be prioritized. The government should invest heavily in education, and there should be a very strong foundation. I can tell you this for free. From 1965, history will tell us that Gambia regained their independence in 18 February. Sir Dawda Jawara played a crucial role in making sure that the country regains her independence. Edward Francis Small, even though it's very sad that he could not live to witness the independence of the country, but he started the fight for the independence. And he's somebody who dedicated all his life. He did not even have a wife. He did not even have a child. Have you ever heard of anything small now? His lineage is gone. Nobody is here to remember. So it becomes a moral obligation upon this country to remember the likes of Edward Francis Small. How should we remember him? Are we remembering him? Are we celebrating him? Or not even him, but them? You ask yourself this question. But something very instrumental should be laid, that is education. Yes, we were having education, Western education, but it wasn't enough. I think Sir Dawda Jawara could have done something way more bigger than that. There should be enough educational mechanisms that can help and save the lives and the livelihoods of the people, the mindset of the people. Build a very strong foundation upon the nation, or upon which the nation will rest. So you understand, by doing so, we will continuously be having leaders who are going to serve the needs and the aspirations of the people. But 59 years now, the literacy level of this country is not even up to 50%. 59 years. That is not a youthful age. If it is a human, it's not a youthful age. It is telling you that the country is sinking. At a youthful age, we all expect if you are strong, you have to do something positive for your people. But the Gambia from 1 to 59, when we regain our independence, there is nothing in this country that someone will be proud of. Mention one. You will not have it. 59 years. It is telling you that Amajite wrote yesterday that people who are born in 1965 are grandparents, but the Gambia is yet to be a parent. That is something that people have to think of. What is in the country that someone should celebrate and say, I'm a Gambian, and these are the things that we have. These are the things that we should. The only thing that we will celebrate is the Gambia is the smiling coast. What makes you the smiling coast? You ask yourself this question. Why are you the smiling coast? If you are not faking what you are we really the smiling coast of West Africa?
Thank you, Umar. We'll come to that. Now to Mr. Saleh. Mr. Saleh, I mean, how would you describe the Gambia, I mean, after attaining 59 years today?
Thank you so much. First of all, I think I want to say that I'm happy that we are here today. And I want to also celebrate with the rest of the Gambians for this day. And before coming to that, I want to say that maybe to a certain level, we have some reasons to celebrate, even not at the magnitude that it is happening today. I'm sorry about that. So we have reasons to celebrate at least our founding fathers, the likes of I'm Gaba Jahumba, Sir Dawda Jawara, E.F. Small, Aja Fantundin Jata, and Sanjali Bojang, and all the chiefs that were so instrumental in the fight for self-rule and independence. And after the fight, I guess after independence was attained, and we also have to be conscious of the fact that Sir Dawda and his cohort of leaders at the time maintained this country for us to come and then find our sovereignty and our integrity intact. I'll give you this short history of a country called Zanzibar. There is a country called Zanzibar. This particular country attained independence at about 1965, at the same time with the Gambia. So, but after 2 weeks, the country collapsed. It could not persist. It collapsed. Today, that Republic of Zanzibar is now added to Tanzania. That is why Tanzania is called United Republic. That is Republic of Tanzania today, because that particular country cannot sustain itself, to an extent that it fall. So our case was going to be the same when we do not have a leader that has that education, that foresight, and then that sacrifice that he has done for us. When we are told that when he was coming from independence, in fact, even the pay for civil servants was coming from England. So that could tell the kind of leaders that we have at the time. So it is incumbent upon us today to celebrate those people, that they are able to save that for us, have this country for us, and then when we came, they handed it over to us. So I think that alone, is something that is worth mentioning. So aside that, the sacrifice, the love, the patriotism that, and the self-sacrifice that they have. I think these are all issues that we need to recognize today. And I want to send my prayers. Kafa alma niman kafra kalitul be mi alonko bi mantar nunjang subari mbaitan lako ila ye menki jang hansai dalbe munafa kala. So that said, you asked me about the after independence. So that is where I will agree with Umar. And I think when the discussion progresses, we'll come back to what he has earlier said. So I want to say it's a sad nation at 59. And that said, we have to look at a lot of things from a lot of angles, but I don't know where you are starting. I think it's with education also.
Education, absolutely.
So, it's a very, very sad situation for this country. Today, if you look at the education sector, education does not hold the value that it used to have. And, and this is a sector that when it fails, no other education, economy will fail, transportation will fail, agriculture will fail. Every other sector is going to fail, and that is why all the sectors are failing, because the foundation upon which all the other sectors are based is failing. So it's on its knees, almost on its knees. If you look at health right now, you go to the hospital, you complain. People are complaining of a lot of things, incompetence within our nurses. We have several nursing schools that are offering courses that are below the line, and these are people going to our public institutions. So people are always dying, out of negligence. People are dying out of a lot of factors. So what is causing that is the problem of the education system.
Absolutely.
Our economy has failed. No amount of good English or statistics will make us believe if it's working. Why is it working?
The practicals will be out.
So the reason why the economy is failing is because education has failed. Our agriculture is dead. In Jawara's time, we know how agriculture used to be. So, but now, that's why then they used to say agriculture is the backbone of this country. It's no longer the backbone. All right? So it used to be the backbone because education has catered for it. People are going to school to study, and then when they are done, they go and practicalize it. Agriculture, but today, if the agriculture sector has the highest number of PhDs, the masters, but it has failed. So all other sectors are going to continue to fail, and the country itself is going to fail when we do not look at education. Now, how much are these people investing in education? They will talk about millions and then say education is giving a lot of money. There is what is called educational administration. You talk about educational development, and there are a lot of components in education. So if you give them a few millions and you think it's going to work, it is not working. Today, because of the problem of education, you have a lot of people who are dropouts. People are going to school, and then all of a sudden, you have a youth population that is idle. They solely depend on betting and all of that, chanting and all of that, so that and that overpowers education. And why is that happening? Because today education doesn't matter. For as long as you have someone who is a permanent secretary, who is a minister, who is a director somewhere, you can easily travel.
Absolutely.
You can easily have a job. At the detriment of someone who is going to university,
absolutely,
who has gone to university, who has gone to the Gambia college. So people no longer see the value that education used to hold. So therefore, you can always sit down, whatever that you want, because you have someone there. You are simply connected. You can simply travel for masters, for bachelors, for PhDs, even when you have no papers and all of that. We have seen that in this country.
Absolutely.
If you look at the condition of teachers and the education workers in this country, it's really sad. You take teachers to school, you ask them to be there for double shift, you paying them pittance, and you expect to have an outcome that will benefit this country. So these are some of the factors that we need to look at. So, but generally, education is failing if it has not failed already. So, as a result, it's going to have an impact on all other sectors that we have in this country, because any other sector that stems from education. Because even the agriculturists, whatever, the nurses, whatever that you talk about, all stems from education. So, if you go to traffic, you have a lot of indiscipline in our traffic. What is causing that? Because of the mindset. All right. So, and it's the education that will work on some of those things. So our development is going to continue to retard if we don't work on education, because at the end, our education system is producing engineers that cannot make roads. So we have people from outside, from I forget the Senegalese company. So these are the people coming, and our University of the Gambia is producing engineers. Why are they not making our roads? So that tells how we value education, or we do not value education. So there's a more that we need to do when it comes to that area.
Interesting. I mean, there is much needed to be done to ensure that, I mean, the Gambia, I mean, uplift or the Gambia move forward. So, Mr. Sidibe, what is your take? I mean, as Kudubo and Omar, I mean, delve into the to the education aspect. So, what do you also think? I mean, or how far is Gambia in the education aspect since 1965?
Thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here. First and foremost, I want to cast my mind back and I want to recall since independence, this happened in registered on 18 February 1965, officially. If you look at Gambia's independence, I'm going to agree with them in some points, and some points I will disagree. Now, let us look at this. The independence, as alluded by Omar, that it should be called Founding Fathers Day instead of it being called independence. Yeah, it depends on the school of thought that you belong. Because if you look at those people when they were seeking for the independence, or when they were seeking the independence, they were doing it on behalf of Gambians. So therefore, I think it is better for us to maintain that name for it to be called independence, because it is not only their day. It belongs to all Gambians. Now, let me talk about Sir Dawda and Edward Francis Small and why I think this day should be celebrated for remembrance to those people, especially whom we consider as our founding fathers. Now, if you look at Sir Dawda, there are a lot of things that we can learn from Sir Dawda, and some of those things, we should use those things as reference. We should use him as a learning curve, especially to our Gambian politicians. History tells us that Sir Dawda had a chance. He was given that chance to claim British citizenship, but he renounced it for the Gambia. This was a time that, Gambia was not the best country that somebody would love to, claim its citizenship. Imagine if it were some of us here, we would have claimed that citizenship. But Sir Dawda was given that chance to claim British citizenship, but he renounced it for the Gambia. One. Secondly, at a time when Gambia, many people consider, or they call Gambia as an improbable nation, like a nation that might not be or could not, or they believe that Gambia will not be able to steer its own affairs. They did not believe, that is the British, that the Gambia would be able to paddle its own canoe. But Sir Dawda surprised everybody. He was able to make sure things, went on the right track, even though he had hitches here and there, because I believe everybody has his own cockroaches. They all have their own weaknesses. Now, far from that, still now I'm talking about why I think we should remember these people. And I'm using Sir Dawda, his attributes, those attributes that he possessed. What can we learn from those things? Okay? Now, from that point, the same Sir Dawda, Senegambia, the British had wanted to match the Gambia and Senegal for it to become a country, because as I said, they thought the Gambia would not be able to steer its own affair. But Sir Dawda said that would not be at the interest of Gambians. Gambians will always be underrated, and it will be just like the tail of the dog, while the Senegal will remain the lion. And we don't want that. Okay? We have our independence, the likes of Sir Dawda, the likes of Edward Francis Small, who is rarely talked about. And historians should write more about this great man. Because for me, we call him the doyen of Gambian politics. So with all these things, these attributes that we learn from Sir Dawda, are our politicians practicing? Are they learning from the nationalistic point of Sir Dawda Jawara? This is very important. Because some of us, our problem is, we have different mindset about politics. Just like Michael Walzer once said, he was an American political thinker. He said he wrote his 1973 essay, and the title of that essay is Political Action, the Problem of Dirty Hands. That is Political Action, the Problem of Dirty Hands. And in that essay, he argued that, politicians often do bad to achieve good. And this is what we're facing right now in this country. People are ready to do anything. As long as they would be employed, or they will be supported, they will get that financial benefit from that person. Whichever camp that person belongs, they don't care. So they are ready to do anything to satisfy their own self-interest. And this one is a big problem for this country. We need to remember these great people, what nationalism meant, what nationalism meant for those people, and what those nationality mean for us. For me, I think these are two different things, because what those people fought for, the struggles that they went through, and if they were about to come back, I'm talking about hypothetical situation. We know they will not come back, but if they were about to come back, or if they were to come back here, my brother, tears will roll down in their eyes, because the Gambia that they fought for is not. They will go back. It's not the Gambia that we see right now. So there are a lot of things that we need to think about. We can celebrate them partially. Okay, we can celebrate them partially because of their effort, and also if you look at the country, at least we are able to use our own currency. Before, we were using the pound sterling. All right, so we are using our own currency. That's an achievement. We have our own state institutions like the military. We have military that is ready to fight any external aggression. That's a state institution. We have a police. So we are doing some of our things on our own affairs, even though they are not to the satisfaction. It's not the Gambia that we all want. So many problems, so many horrors are happening in this country. So I'll take a pause here until when you have questions or follow-up questions, I can go ahead.
Interesting moment. Mohammed said, if those founding fathers who are to come back today, tears will roll. And absolutely, that's right. There are so many problems going on, but with those problems here, you'll hear them today, and of course, they'll give you remedies to those problems.